Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias, Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
And I'm Bernard Hauk. I am not Francesco.
Yep, there was some shenanigans. I am in Austin, Texas this week, and we thought it'd be cool to, like, me and Eli to record IRL, but that didn't happen because I was dumb. So Bernard's here.
I also got home from Alabama at 3 in the morning.
Yep.
So
anyway.
Yeah.
So Francesco's not here, but Bernard is here, and we're great. Same as usual. Also, it is New Year's Eve.
It is New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Last episode of 2019, though of course y'all won't hear it until later.
I mean, apparently y'all recorded the second episode of this arc, and no one told me, so I haven't edited yet.
It was Christmas holiday. There was a lot going on. It's fine.
Yeah,
So,
don't worry about it.
You might say it's almost New Year's. That means it wasn't New Year's.
So if there were any, like, great running gags that started in the last episode, I'm not aware of them because I haven't listened to that episode yet.
No, just us being stupid as usual. And by us, I mean me. Anyway, before we get started, how was y'all's holiday situations?
Well, Christmas was just very quiet. It was just me and Ken, and we opened gifts from my parents and from each other. He got me all of Sailor Moon Crystal, which I'm very happy about. I got him.
That is the remake of the original series, right?
Correct. It's based more on the manga than on the original anime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very good, and I love it. And I'm really excited for the 2 movies that they're going to be coming out with next year.
Very cool.
Yeah. Those are going to be the Dream arc. And then, I got him a sexy 1 terabyte hard drive.
Very good.
Yes. And we got lots of nice gifts from my mom and dad. And in fact, more arrived while we were out of town, so we have more shit to open today.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then we went out of town. We went, like I said, I just got back from Alabama at 3 in the morning. We went to visit friends of ours over in Prattville, Alabama. And we just had a good time chilling out and playing Pokemon a lot.
Wait, what is the name of this town?
Prattville.
How's that spelled?
Prattville.
Okay, I thought you said Crabville.
I thought you said Crapville.
And I was like, those both would have been very good. Prattville's also good though.
Crabville.
Hey, if someone from if a native of Prattville takes a stumble and hurts themselves, did they take a pratfall?
Oh God, save me.
Sorry.
Why did I come back to this?
I'm sorry. I'm glad you had a chill time though.
Yeah, it was really nice, just like sitting around eating pizza and hanging out with friends who also want to sit around and eat pizza.
That is the dream.
Yeah, it was great.
What about you, Nard?
I had an okay Christmas with my family, and it was okay. And I visited my parents, and then on Christmas Day, the entire family showed up, and I was like, And after a bit, I was like, I got to get back to Austin, because I did have to get back to Austin that day. And then I drove home, and then a couple days later, I drove to pick up Maddie from East Texas, and then brought her back, and we have been hanging out. And we have hung out and eaten pizza, but also we've been doing lots of stuff, and it's been a little exhausting. We had a whole huge day yesterday. We saw Little Women, and for some reason that made me cry a whole lot, and I don't know why, and gonna have to explore that.
Yeah.
Were they truly Little Women?
They were so tiny.
They were the tiniest women you've ever seen. Except, of course, in my heart, because to me, no woman is little.
Aww. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
it's funny because Bernard says we did a lot, and I agree, we did, and I appreciate him driving me around so much. But that's just the difference between the two of us, because Bernard's like, we did so much, and I'm like, God, we did so little. But that's because I have a very different opinion on that, because I've been running myself ragged for the last year. Yeah. My Christmas was... It was just a lot. It was a whole lot. I went home for Christmas, and it was the first time that my family has literally seen me as Maddie since coming out, or I guess the same as ever. And it was a lot. There were a whole lot of emotions, mostly negative ones, and a whole lot of conversations, mostly not good ones. And yeah, there's a lot. But on the other hand, my family does this thing where we can have a really serious conflict and discussion with lots of negative emotions, where they're like, we're never going to support you, blah, 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 you've ruined Christmas. And then 30 minutes later, we're just like, hey, let's watch Muppets. Hey, pass me the eggnog. Like it didn't happen. Like it's fine. So that's weird. We have weird conflict resolution mechanisms.
Huh. Well,
mostly ignoring it.
Yeah. That's... I don't know if that's resolution, but...
No, it's not. Also, I can't share what this is, but I did receive some extremely cool and awesome news while I was home about a personal friend of mine. It's secret, but it cheered me up a lot.
That's good.
Yep, so that was nice. Yeah, a lot of things happen as they tend to do. So yeah, and Phoenix Wright, that's a video game. We all like it.
Yes.
My relationship with Phoenix Wright is I played it when I was a young teen, and in my childhood and teen years, I didn't really watch anime. Like I watched Pokemon when I was a little kid, but I don't know if that even counts because it's so terrible. But I didn't really watch anime, but Ace Attorney, those games were sort of like my anime, and I was so into them. And I was like, holy shit, there's so much drama, people have cool hair, people have huge boobs. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it so far. So
yeah. Let's take a pause for a second so that there can be music edited in later and get started. Okay, cool. So, when we last left our heroes, we had basically had a filler episode that didn't matter a whole lot, and now it's been a couple of months. Wait, this is December 20th. I thought for sure it was March. Oh no, that was
it
because
takes place in
It
December.
takes place at Christmas.
Yeah, duh. That was because I messed something up when I was playing before.
It's so seasonally appropriate for us.
I know. Yeah, so the prologue is that some mysterious stuff happens. There's these two folks standing on a boat.
Hold on 1 second, my doorbell just rang.
Oh yeah, go figure out your doorbell.
Sorry.
Oh my god. Put my phone in don't go to sleep mode.
It's been, 15 years? About that, yes.
Yeah, fucking pest control guys came
15
over.
years is a long time to wait.
I had no
You can't
forewarning
imagine
about
how
this.
much I've suffered. You suffered.
Eli, what was that?
Oh, pest control guys came over.
Oh, nice. Bernard was dramatically reading the dialogue.
Sorry.
Yeah, so anyway, we got these two dudes talking, and one of them's like, it's been 15 years, and the other one's like, yes. And then it's like, I'm going to have revenge. And then he says, Merry Christmas. And then some guy shoots the other guy and falls into a lake. And then we see the face of one of the people looking at the gun, shocked, like, what have I done? And it's our buddy, Miles Edgeworth.
Is he our buddy?
He is my buddy.
He is a buddy. Maybe he's. I like him.
He and Phoenix Wright are buddies. They just won't admit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone ships them, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't not. I've read the Dojin.
They're both
so,
himbos.
Yeah.
Miles is very smart.
They're still himbos. Y'all don't understand what himbos are.
I guess I don't.
Also, Miles is not very smart. Because he gets his ass kicked by Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyway, so it's Christmas, and Maya and Phoenix are just hanging out, talking about dumb crap that doesn't matter. And then they're finding out about random news that has nothing to do with anything, except it does, which is that there's a Loch Ness monster in the local lake, but it's called Gord Lake, so it's Gordy. And then, like, Phoenix is like, can't the news report about something more interesting? And immediately, the news is like, there's been a murder.
At Gord Lake.
At the lake we were just talking about. That we introduced it 5 seconds before it became relevant. So someone got murdered, we found a body, and the killer was apprehended, and the killer is Miles Edgeworth. So right off the bat, you're like, what the fuck? We don't like this guy, but we know he would never murder somebody. He doesn't like murders, as far as we know. That's his character. So you go to chat with him.
He has a strict anti-murder platform.
Yeah, not a fan of murders. So anyway, you go around, and a lot of stuff happens. There's actually a lot of locations available right off the bat. So, like, you can go to the precinct and talk to him, and he's just like, stay out of this. He is mysterious, actually. He says two things. He says, one, every lawyer who has come to me that I've approached has rejected my case because they all think they're going to lose. And second of all, like you say, out of this, Phoenix, it's not because I don't respect you. Actually, you kicked my ass twice. It's like, I don't want you to be involved in this. So you're like, oh, there's something mysterious going on. So anyway, you go and you talk around, and you go to the lake, and of course, Gumshoe's there. Now, unlike usual, Gumshoe is not trying to dig up great evidence for the prosecution because Gumshoe has a giant crush on Edgeworth and thinks Edgeworth could never have done it. So the detective is very reticent about getting the prosecution evidence, so he's really helping you a lot more readily than usual. So anyway, he says that he was called into a meeting, but he can't tell you what the meeting was, but then he totally does anyway because he's got a big mouth. And eventually you get to the actual first important element of this case, which is you go to the lake and you investigate, and you meet this lady named Lotta Hart. I'm a big fan of Lotta Hart. She's a redneck, basically, or more like a hillbilly, if you understand the subtle differences between a redneck and a hillbilly. Yeah, and what?
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like I should know that since I'm from West Virginia, but I actually don't.
I feel like it's obvious, and yet I could not explain it.
Yeah, I'm from northern West Virginia. I'm from above the Mason-Dixon line, so I'm technically not a Southerner.
Oh, I didn't realize this. You've been stealing Southern valor all this time?
I have not been stealing it. I've never claimed it.
The South doesn't have valor.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with it, frankly.
That's fair and reasonable.
I might as well
smart.
just tell people I'm from Pennsylvania.
And wise. But yeah, so you talked a lot of Hart, and there's this whole situation. She's like, howdy, y'all. And I believe I read that in the Japanese game, she was like the Japanese version of a redneck. Whatever that is.
Like Kansai region.
That's
actually, I think I may specifically read that. Yes.
Kansai is the only, like, specific region I know about that characters often have a Kansai dialect because it's like a shorthand for this character is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not very smart, and she makes repeated references to the fact that she's not very smart. I respect her. And anyway, her whole thing is that she is investigating the stars. She's like a student astrologist or astronomist.
Astronomist.
astronomist, and she has this camera, and this camera is activated by sound. Is the really important thing. So she has this camera, and she's like, "Oh yeah. I saw the murder. My camera went off twice when I heard the gunshots last night, and my camera took a picture, and it took 2 pictures, but one of the pictures doesn't have anything in it, so it doesn't matter, and the other picture has the murder, and you look at the picture, and you're like, this is too blurry, we just see that there's 2 people on a boat, and she's like, oh, I'll get it embiggened, and then she has a bunch of other shenanigans, because she's weird and confusing, yeah, and that's it. Then you go and you get the autopsy report, so that's an important thing. And then you start to get some really important stuff. Maya Fey, recognizes who the victim is, and she doesn't tell you for a while, but eventually it comes out that, remember that stuff from 3 chapters ago, or 2 chapters ago, where there was this event that happened 15 years ago, the DL6 incident, where someone killed someone else, and then they got Maya's mom involved, and then it turns out they got exonerated, and no one got arrested. Well, it turns out the person who was the what do you call it? The accused. There we go. The accused in that case.
Defendant.
The defendant. That's the word. Common word I should know when we're playing this video game. The defendant in that case that did not end up getting convicted is maybe the victim who just died just now. So that's weird. What else is here? Oh, right. And then we're just exploring around, going to the areas that are available to us in the game's UI. And who should show up but everyone's favorite character, Larry Butts. Larry Butts shows up.
Oh, dang
Fuck
it.
that
Sorry,
guy.
doorbell again.
Go figure, Larry Butch has managed to embroil himself in this case and become the center of everything in a way that is just infuriating. And will only get more so. So we found out a couple.
Did you miss that Eli's going for the doorbell again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did miss that. I thought he said something like, darn, it's Larry Butts again.
No.
That's actually what I thought he said. Or
That's fair.
Yeah. That doorknob again. That's what we...
Proper knob.
A proper knob. A proper nonce.
Okay, I'm back forever.
Cool.
That Larry Butts is a real doorbell, always showing up.
Fucking doorbell.
Exactly. So Larry is really, he's got a new girlfriend, and it seems like the girlfriend is, trying to make him get a job, but she's doing it in a really cheap way. We don't meet the girlfriend, and she seems interesting. Anyway, he's working at a hot dog stand. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but because of the way the graphics in this game work, but it reminds me of in Breaking Bad when the one character is always just doing sign spinning. That's his character for a while. So he's just there. He's going to be important later, but for now we find out that he and Phoenix Wright and Edgeworth all went to the same. They all grew up in the same orphanage. No, they all went to the same school in 4th grade specifically. So they all knew Edgeworth briefly, but then Edgeworth left the school because of all this stuff that happened 15 years ago. Because he got embroiled in some kind of situation. Maybe we find this out later. Maybe we find it. Oh wait, we find out this in 2 seconds. The thing is, Miles Edgeworth's dad is one that got murdered. Wow. So it turns out that the Fay family and the
That got
Edgeworth
murdered in the current incident or the
Oh,
previous
right.
incident?
Edgeworth's dad is the one who got killed 15 years ago. So turns out, just to re-edify this connection, Maya Fey, the Fey family, and the whole thing that was happening in the second case, turns out that case was about the murder of Miles Edgeworth's dad. Another interesting character thing is that Miles Edgeworth's dad was a defense attorney, not a prosecutor. And Miles Edgeworth used to always talk in school about wanting to defend those who are weak and just all the stuff that Phoenix Wright says. But something changed to cause him to be the man he is today. That's basically it. The only other thing that's important is you find out that the statute of limitations on that case is going to end in literally 2 days from now, which, if we know how this game works, we realize is also the day that this case is the final day of this trial is the same day the statute of limitations is going to end. That's a fun coincidence.
I love how the very silly law they made up for this game where trials have to be concluded within 3 days. I love it.
It rules. At this point, Miles Edgeworth finally decides to let you be his lawyer because he's actually very impressed that you figured all this stuff out. Like, you tell him this and he's like, seriously? You figured all this out? Damn. So, and only at this point does he say, I didn't kill him. I'm telling you, I didn't kill him. Please be my lawyer. Then an earthquake strikes, and we find out just a weird fact that'll become important later, which is that Miles Edgeworth is terrified of earthquakes.
Oh, yeah.
He gets, like, trauma flashbacks when he's in an earthquake.
Yeah, he freaks out pretty bad.
Yep. So.
It's really convenient that we get this little piece of character development very shortly before it becomes relevant.
Yep.
This couldn't have happened, like, in another case.
No way it could have happened in Chapter 2 or anything. So we're at the trial. Instead of Edgeworth being the enemy, because he's the defendant, now we have a new prosecutor named Manfred von Karma.
Hell yes.
Eli, how would you describe this guy?
Boy, he is terrifying.
Yeah.
He's big and scary and a lot. He is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's bad. He doesn't have any weapons, at least.
He dresses a lot more. He dresses even more flamboyantly than Edgeworth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's this old-looking guy, gray hair, this sort of gray-blue aesthetic.
And he basically has the court in his pocket.
Yeah. He keeps, like, saying that people should do things, and the judge is like, wait, that's my job.
But the
whatever.
judge does not, like, fight with him on this. He's just like, okay, sure.
Well, I mean, Manfred von Karma is very scary.
Yeah. So this guy's even more of a superstar attorney. He hasn't lost a case in 40 years, his entire career. The first he gets is Gumshoe to come up, and Gumsworth. Gumshoe.
Gumsworth is my OTP.
Actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's unidirectional, though. So Gumshoe reiterates pretty much what we already heard. There was a gunshot, a body fell, someone called it in. Oh, we found out there were actually 2 witnesses, but the second witness doesn't, like, get mentioned again. It's very strange.
Yeah.
The only important thing here is that he presents the bullet from the body and the pistol. So there's a pistol in the boat with Edgeworth's fingerprints on it. There's a bullet where the ballistic stuff shows that it definitely came out of the gun, and that bullet was in the guy's body. So, like, things aren't looking good for Edgeworth. It's like he definitely held this gun, and the gun definitely shot the guy, and that's it. Anyway, so eventually Lotta Hart comes on the stand, and she's like, yeah, I saw 2 people on a boat. At this point, she gives a testimony that seems pretty much unimpeachable, and it even does that thing where Phoenix Wright is just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I can't freaking do anything. And just as everything's about to be over, Maya interrupts and basically causes a huge ruckus. Like, she's hollering, she's being a pain in the ass. She literally gets held in contempt of court and removed from the courtroom. But in doing so, she basically hollers enough that gives you time to figure out what the hell's going on. And what you find out is that Lotta didn't actually see the murder. She had photos that took photos of the murder, but... Oh, right, at this point, I forgot. The most important thing is you sort of press her, and you realize that she's not watching the stars. She's looking for a picture of Gordy. Turns out she's just like a hack UFO photographer who wanted a photo of Gordy, so that's why her photos were set up. Therefore, she would have had binoculars. Therefore, when the gunshot went off, she wouldn't have looked at the boat. She would have been scanning the water for Gordy. Basically, her whole case doesn't check out, and therefore she didn't actually see the murder. So why did she say that she did? She reverse engineered having seen it. She wanted to be part of something. She wanted to be special. She had pictures of the murder, and she heard all the details of the murder, but she didn't literally actually see it. She was lying to herself about that fact. So with that being the case, they're like, court's over. So this trial takes forever and is extremely tense, but that's basically all that happens, is you find out that the super airtight case actually isn't. Back to investigation. Did I miss anything important there?
No, that seemed pretty accurate.
Yeah, pretty much it. One more important thing. So we definitely don't know for a fact that Edgeworth shot the gun. Oh, this happens in this case? Right, sorry.
Yeah.
Edgeworth's fingerprints were his right hand, and the person, the photo shows someone holding a gun in their left hand. So, like, very, very strong evidence that it wasn't actually Edgeworth, but we have no idea who the hell it was. It wasn't suicide because the bullet did enter the body from at least 3 feet away. So it's not suicide. It wasn't Edgeworth. You'd think at this point it'd be done because, you know, the point of a murder trial is to prove that the defendant did it, and we now see that the defendant didn't do it. We shouldn't have to find out what actually happened. We should just have to give them reasonable doubt. That's not how this game works.
No, this world is very much like it's not very good at reflecting actual courtroom.
No.
Things.
Proving reasonable doubt is not enough.
Yeah, you have to also prove who did it.
Yeah, which we're definitely going to do, probably on the dramatic third day. So anyway, second investigation. A lot more happens. Maya's now in jail because she's because she caused too much of a ruckus in the courtroom. Also, there's this subplot here where she keeps trying to contact Mia, and it's just not working. She hasn't been doing her training. Maybe she's been eating too many hamburgers and having too much fun with Phoenix and with Nick, and not focusing on being a good little a priestess. So she can't contact Mia, which I'm sure will probably change dramatically at the end. Anyway, Gumshoe is like your BFF now because you're saving Edgeworth because he has a crush on Edgeworth. You learn more about the DL6 incident, but the main thing is you talk with Lotta Hart, and she's like, "I'm sorry for lying. I didn't mean to lie. I just wanted to feel special. I do have some information that will help you." And she's like, "I'm going to give you the information to pay you back for all the trouble I caused." And you're like, "Cool." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll pay you back if you do something in return for me."
That's not how payback works.
And Phoenix even calls her out. Phoenix is like, "Wait, you're doing us a favor by making us trade information?" She's like, "Yeah."
Great.
So she wants information on Gordy. So you have to go on this entire fucking side quest to find out if Gordy is real. That way she can get the photos she needs. That way she gives the info she needs. It turns out, of course, this side quest is important because in the process of doing the side quest, you get all this important evidence that's relevant to the case. But at the time, it literally is like, people even comment. Gumshoe's like, "Why are you going around hunting for a monster? You should be solving a murder." It's good time. So what's important? I'll just skip to the end. It's a bunch of shenanigans. Turns out, who was behind it all? Well, when something smells, it's probably the Butts. So you talk with Larry Butts, and it turns out he had a giant inflatable balloon of the Steel Samurai because his hot dogs are Steel Samurai themed. Instead of inflating the balloons like he's supposed to, I forget why, because he's lazy and stupid, he decides to inflate the balloons just by direct injecting like an entire canister of compressed air into it with his hands, I guess. It's not what he's supposed to do. And what happened? Well, it made a loud pop sound that sounds like a gunshot. And it causes the entire Steel Samurai thing to go into the water. Basically, Gordy, that people saw, was just a giant inflatable Steel Samurai balloon attached to an air canister.
I love it.
It's a lot. And because this lake is very foggy, nobody noticed. So yeah, you figure that out. I think there's one or two important elements of evidence that happened during that. Let's take a look. No, just the fact that it sounds like a gunshot. That's it. Yeah. Oh, and also you do find out that Larry was working the night of the murder, and there was some shenanigans happening that night. So anywho, you go and you tell Lotta Hart that, and she's really sad because she's missed her big break. She's going to go back to school and continue getting education instead of trying to take photographs of things that don't exist. What she tells you is that the other witness was the caretaker of the boat rental shop. So this lake, you rent boats, right? And you go on the lake for funsies with the boats. You could have gone to this rental shop ages ago, but there was never any important reason to go there. So you go to the rental shop and you meet this old guy who's barely cognizant of what's going on around him. He thinks that Phoenix and Maya are his children, Keith and Meg. He also thinks that the boat shop is a pasta shop called the Wet Noodle. And he has...
fun fact, in noodle shops become a recurring thing in the later games. And like in Game 6, there is a shop called Wet Soba, but with an H because it's someone's name. They like that pun, I guess.
Yeah, guess so.
That rules. So yeah, you find out that he has a parrot named Polly, and because everyone on the pod today has seen Twin Peaks, we know that birds that repeat things can be very handy in solving murder mystery cases.
Yes.
Hopefully this bird doesn't get shot with a rifle.
I love how the bird in Twin Peaks gets assassinated.
Oh, fucking Leo Johnson, god damn it.
God. You forget how much stuff happens at the end of season 1.
We were actually watching it when I was in Alabama because my friends haven't seen the whole thing yet, and yeah, they got to witness the birder. That's bird murder.
One of my friends, and this is not the exciting news that I can't share with you, but one of my friends I hung out with when I went home, turns out he's very recently gotten into Twin Peaks, and he got Firewalk with Me on Blu-ray for Christmas.
Nice.
At the point he told me that, I was almost like, what if we just watch it right now? But we didn't. We went to a bar and talked about our feelings. But yeah, so there's a bird, right? And if you show the guy your badge, he recognizes it, which is the first time that's ever happened. Most of the time people are just like, what the hell is that dumb piece of metal that you have?
Yeah.
If you don't present your badge to everyone you encounter, you're playing Ace Attorney wrong.
You really are.
In the later
I'm
games...
a lawyer!
In later games, it's like a running gag. When you, Phoenix will present... the badge, and people will be like, why do you do that all the time? Or like in Apollo Justice, Apollo will present the badge to someone who appeared in a previous game, and they're like, I knew someone who used to do that. And it's good.
That rules. So you learn almost nothing from this guy. So this entire case has been mostly a bust. You have almost no information, almost no evidence. It's just... you got nothing. You're up against the wall here. The only thing the guy tells you is that the parrot, as you're leaving, says, right, don't forget DL6, which is very fortunate. So you're like, wait, what the hell? That's a huge freaking thing. So you leave the shack. When you come back, the old man has locked it. You can't come in. So you go and you tell Gumshoe this, and he's like, okay, that's good enough evidence for me. You can come into the police precinct and look up all the old files about DL6. So even though we knew all the stuff surrounding DL6, we didn't actually know what the case itself was. So here's what happens. So it turns out that Gregory Edgeworth, famous defense attorney, and his kid, Miles Edgeworth, are in an elevator at the courtroom, the same courtroom that we're always hanging out in. And also in that elevator was this guy named Yami Yogi.
Yami Yugi.
Yami Yugi.
Yugi.
Exactly, Yami
It's a
Yugi.
Yu-Gi-Oh crossover.
And Yami Yugi is a bailiff. Yeah, anyway, so all three of them are in the elevator, and all of a sudden there is an earthquake. And there's a huge earthquake, and everything loses power, and they're stuck in the elevator for like 5 hours. So, of course, we're now seeing this is why Miles Edgeworth has a trauma about earthquakes. And they're stuck in the elevator for so long that they start to lose oxygen because they can't get oxygen to the elevator. So when they finally open the elevator, all three people are passed out. Passed out from oxygen deprivation, almost dead. Also, Gregory Edgeworth had a bullet through his head. Fired twice, interestingly. Oh, I forgot to share the very important information that there were also 2 gunshots in this case. That's extremely important. So anyway, yeah, that's weird. And so they thought, did the only other person in the elevator shoot Gregory Edgeworth? But he had brain damage. He was passed out. He could not have murdered the guy. So...
Also, to be clear, elevators are not airtight, and elevator that stopped, they have vents in them, and you can't get oxygen deprivation from being stuck in an elevator.
So what I'm hearing is that the real case that should be prosecuted here is the district courthouse's obvious, being extremely out of building code.
Yes.
And violating the regulations. Criminal negligence by the builders and maintainers of this building. When are we going to get that Phoenix Wright game? Phoenix Wright. What's the
OSHA
word?
regulations.
Yeah, OSHA regulations attorney. Wait, I would play that. OSHA's very important.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the new information that we have. So we go to the next trial, and a lot more happens this time. Hold on. Okay, that's where I thought we were at. So the old boat caretaker comes to the stand, and he's like, I can't remember anything from my past. He shares who he is. He says, actually, wait, I have this one on my phone. I want to share it exactly. All right, yeah. So they're like, who are you? And he's like, yeah, I don't know who my name is, but what I do know is that I run a pasta shop. But we haven't really gotten many orders for pasta lately. All the kids just come up to me and say, yo, dude, we want to ride in one of your boats. So that's why I keep some boats here. And everyone's really confused, and he's really confused. Whatever. Eventually, though, he shares his testimony. So he's like, it was Christmas Eve. I was just hanging out, and I saw a boat. And then I heard a gunshot, and then later I saw a man walk right in front of the shop, presumably after having parked the boat. And the fog was thick, but the guy's face was right in front of me because it was right in front of the window. It was definitely Miles Edgeworth. Yeah, and what happens is he does this cool thing where two things happen here. First of all, this entire case, every single time you press someone, Karma does an objection. Karma doesn't let you do anything. He shuts you down all the time.
It's really, actually feels really intense and intimidating.
Yeah.
The writing for him is really good. And he, usually gives a very good reason to shut you down. It's not bullshit. You're just like, oh,
yeah.
Shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're the one who's bullshitting. Yeah, and also it's just a cool little turnaround. You're always one doing objections, and now your opponent's the one always doing objections whenever you try to not do an objection, right? He'll even object your objections, and the judge is always just like, yeah, objection sustained, it's pretty valid. So at this point, the more you press, the more it turns out that it's actually a really good testimony, and it's basically a trap. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it sucks. So again, everything's super, super open and shut. It's a short-ass case. I think in universe it takes 10 minutes. Not in... I don't know how long it takes in the game, but they make a reference. Von Karma is like, aha, I ended this trial in 10 minutes. So the judge is like... The judge is like, I guess that's it. And he actually says Edgeworth is guilty. It even does the graphics where it says guilty. But then, unfortunately, about 10 seconds after he should have, instead of 10 seconds before, Larry Butts bursts in. And he says, "You gotta let me testify. You gotta let me testify. You gotta let me testify. I witnessed the murder." And Karma is like, "This is stupid. They already said he was guilty." Even Phoenix is like, "Oh my god, of all the people who could have run in to be a last-minute savior, you're the worst possible one. This fucking sucks." But the judge is like, "Yeah, we're going to have a recess, and I'm going to hear your testimony." So during the recess, it turns out that, he says, I saw it. Edgeworth then gives you some advice. He's like, "Hey, Karma's thing is that he plans everything out 100% ahead of time. Someone who's just a complete idiot like Butts, who knows what he's going to say and what moronic idiocy is going to happen, is the perfect thing to be happening right now. It's going to totally throw him off his game. We just got to figure it out." And Wright's like, "Okay." So, Larry Butts testifies, and he says, he was looking for the Steel Samurai. So he was trying to fix his own dumb problem that has nothing to do with anything, right? He's trying to get this big float back so he can have a job because his girlfriend wants him to have a job because he's a screw up. Blah, 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 blah. He's out on the lake, and he hears a single gunshot just as he was landing his boat at the shore. And that's it. That's all he says. "I was going out. I came back in. I heard a single gunshot." That's, of course, a huge deal because you're saying, wait, but every single part of this case has been saying that there's 2 gunshots? What the hell? That's all we have to go on. Then at some point, Butt says, "Oh, maybe he didn't hear the other gunshot because I had headphones." And then, of course, they're like, "Well, if you had headphones, you moron, you're listening to the radio, you wouldn't have heard the gunshots at all. This was your entire testimony to question." And then he's like, "No, I definitely heard it. It definitely wasn't part of the radio because I heard what the DJ said right before the gunshot." And here we get to a very famous meme from the game. It turns out that the DJ said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas." So the DJ says, "It's almost Christmas." And then our buddy Larry Butts hears a gunshot.
Yes.
I forgot to share the most important element of this, which is that this entire time the gunshots have been established as having gone off at 12:15 a.m.
So on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, 15 minutes after midnight, on Christmas Day. This is established from the other testimonies. So, Phoenix Wright pushes this, and he's like, hell yes. Hell yes. The DJ said, "It's almost Christmas." That means it wasn't Christmas. Which is actually a really good line, but it's also extremely funny and stupid. Even though it makes sense in context. So he's like, this was not the same gunshot. We had 2 gunshots at 12:15. We had a different, unrelated gunshot at 11:50. Then they're like, Phoenix Wright, the most reasonable explanation for all of this is that everything Larry Butts is saying is stupid. None of it happened. There wasn't a gunshot. It was some other sound. It was from the radio. There's no other evidence that there was a gunshot at this point. And this part stumped me. Eli, did you figure this part out on your own?
I don't remember.
Oh gosh, this part stumped me. But it's really good actually. So from ages ago, we learned that there were 2 photos. There were 2 photos taken by Lotta's camera, but the other one just doesn't matter. Lotta even showed us earlier. It's a photo with nothing. It's just a photo of an empty lake. But Phoenix Wright realizes this. We, the player, don't realize. We, the player, just randomly click on stuff until the game progresses. Yeah. But by randomly clicking on stuff, we realized that Phoenix Wright realized, wait, it doesn't matter that the photo didn't show anything. What matters is that the photo exists. Because this camera only goes off when it hears a loud noise. The fact that there's a photo at 11:50 means that the camera heard a loud noise at 11:50. Which corroborates Larry Butts' story about there being a gunshot. So bam. It's all good. It's happening. The crowd, this is the part where the crowd starts making all this ruckus and the judge has to go order, 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 order like 50 times in a row. He does that a lot, this case, by the way. So then Wright goes completely out on a limb and just does the biggest conjecture you've ever heard, and apparently this is okay. Here's what Wright just completely pulls out of his ass and conjectures. He's like, the real murderer was the old man in the cabin. The old man in the cabin is actually Yami Yogi.
Yami
Yogi.
Yami. He's Dark Yogi Bear.
Yami Yugi is actually the killer. By the way, this guy's Yami Yugi, the alleged killer from ages ago. Turns out it's the same guy, even though we forgot his identity. He asked Edgeworth to come out. He invited him out onto the lake. But then he killed him in his cabin, actually. That's when the murder took place. That was at 11:50. Then he dressed up. Yami Yugi killed the prosecutor guy. Yeah. Wait, have I gone this entire time without talking to any about who the murder victim was? Oh my gosh, I'm so silly. I was so focused on the evidence that I forgot about the most important thing.
You mentioned that the victim was the defendant in the DL6 incident? Or was that Yami Yugi? It's been a while.
Oh my gosh, this is complicated. Let me scroll up and remind myself. Gosh dang it. No, it was the prosecuting attorney.
Robert Hammond.
Defense attorney. Right, there we go, yeah. So the defendant, of course, was Yami Yugi, but the defense attorney was Robert Hammond, right? And that's the whole point, by the way. That's why they all think that Miles Edgeworth did it, because he would have a grudge against the defense attorney who got his dad's murderer off the hook, right? That's the whole freaking point. That's why they thought he had a really good motive for murder. So anyway, they're like, yeah, so Yami Yugi invites Hammond out to the lake to talk, and then he kills the guy. And then Yami Yugi dresses up as Hammond by wearing his big coat, and then goes out on a boat with Edgeworth. So Edgeworth goes out on the boat thinking that Hammond is meeting with him. He hasn't seen the guy in ages. He was a kid when last time he saw him. So he doesn't realize that this isn't actually him. Then Yami Yugi, dressed as Hammond, fires 2 gunshots in order to get witnesses, and then throws the body into the water. He actually already done that previously, and then falls into the water. Miles Edgeworth thinks he has killed a guy, or thinks someone has just died in front of him, at least. And then Miles Edgeworth grabs the gun because he's not thinking, and he's stupid, and he gets his prints all over the gun. So, point is, giant complex murder / frame up. The killer murdered the victim, then dressed up as the victim, met with Edgeworth, and made it look like Edgeworth killed the victim. The end. That's just a lot, and Phoenix Wright just figures all that out, apparently. And instead of being like, that is just an absurd level of conjecture that means nothing, they're all just like, damn dog. That all does basically check out and make sense. We probably... hold on, let me look real quick at what the reason was why they don't just end the case right there. Nothing. There's no reason it happened. All that happens is that the boat guy, the old guy, the guy who's probably the killer, he just ran away. So he runs away, they don't know where he is, and that's why they suspend the trial. So they're like, I guess we'll continue the trial tomorrow. So that's as far as we got today. And there is one final...
technically be over, but, whatever.
Yeah. So there's one final thing. It's very, very... Actually, I took a picture of it on my phone. The exact dialogue. All right, cool. So Edgeworth is like, Phoenix, I have something else I need to tell you. And they're like, what is it? He goes, I can't get it off my mind. Phoenix says, what is this about Edgeworth? Edgeworth says, it's a nightmare I've had. A memory of a crime that I committed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nick says, a crime you committed. And Edgeworth says, a memory of a murder. So, that's where we're at. really weird murder situation and also a previous situation, an unsolved murder involving people in an elevator. There were 3 people in that elevator. Maybe Yami Yugi killed Gregory Edgeworth. Maybe somehow Mild Edgeworth murdered his own dad. That's
Maybe.
not good,
No.
but it could have happened.
And then he married his mom.
He married his mom. Yeah, so for the first time, we're actually ending this episode not at the end of a case. So I guess I vaguely kind of maybe know what happens, though I could be wrong. Bernard might be in the same boat. Eli, what do you think is going to happen? Predictions.
I don't know. I'm not good at predicting this stuff.
Do you think all the stuff Phoenix just said, that entire story he created about what really happened, is true? Or mostly true?
I think there's parts of it that are probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really tough for me to say. I'm not good at this sort of thing.
My question is this. If the person who got murdered was the defense attorney, and the person who murdered him was the defendant, what's the motive?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good question.
I actually just realized what the motive might be, but I don't want to say it.
But never mind.
If you think you might know what the motive is, you should say it. But I don't want to say it because I'm not sure what of it is my own conjecture and what of it is me remembering what happens. So I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, I think that's the most interesting. That's the most interesting question. And then, what are the details of this murder that happened a long time ago? Asphyxiation, bullet, gunshot? Are we going to have a lot more evidence that we didn't know about before? So there's no possible way we could have figured it out before? Yes. Also, there's a dog in this episode.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's named after it's named after the dog of the guy who created Ace Attorney. And
Oh, cute.
his dog also appears in his other game, Ghost Trick, Phantom
Nice.
Detective, or whatever it's called.
Eli, did you mess with the dog?
No, I didn't.
What did you take? The metal detector like a smart person?
Yes.
So at a certain point in this game, you go back to the police station, and Gumshoe wants to help you. So he's like, "Here, have these 3. Take ye these items 3." And the 3 items he presents are a metal detector, which would be handy. I forget what the second item is because it's not useful. And then the third item is a straight up dog. This really cute dog named Missile. You hold him like an item. You can present him to anybody you want if you want to. Be like, here's a dog. He doesn't end up helping at all, but he's really cute.
I'm pretty sure there are some funny scenes if you take him with you.
Oh, there's a lot of goofy and weird scenes.
Also, Missile has, like, when Missile is being shown or talked about, there's 2 portraits for him. One, he's just cute, he's a little Shiba. And the other one is horrifying.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm showing it to Maddie now.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do much with Missile either because I knew that he wasn't important. It turns out that entire shtick, that entire big puzzle thing where you have 3 different items and they all have absurd amounts of unique writing, literally the only point of it is you grab the metal detector and you go to where Larry Butts is and you find that air canister mentioned earlier. That's all it is, but this episode has an absurd amount of optional dialogue. And it's cool.
The games have so much writing in them. It's amazing, and I love the writers. I love the localizers. I love the people who do fan translations of the games that haven't been released, because that must be such an undertaking.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
played any of the fan translated games yet, but I'm going to.
Heck yes. So yeah, no, that concludes it for the week. Next week we're going to do one final bit of investigation and one final very dramatic trial, and then reach what is the original ending of this game. Maybe Phoenix Wright and Mild Edgeworth are going to kiss. Who knows? We'll find out.
Oh, man, I wish. I would love them to.
Eli, do you have any memorable moment? Actually, now let's pause for a second and play some music. Okay. Eli, do you have any memorable moments?
I mean, my most memorable moment was Maya having a freak out in the courtroom.
Yeah, that part ruled.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good way for her to like she was very brave to do that. It was stupid, but it was also very useful and helpful. So, like, and we've got to pay her bail apparently, but or no, Edgeworth took care of it, didn't he?
Yeah, Edgeworth pays her
right.
bail because he's rich and is very happy that you're doing what needs to happen.
That's right. I remember that.
Also, what's cool is that, like, Maya knew she was going to be held in contempt of the court. That's the coolest thing. Like, they'd already said, if you cause any more ruckus, you're going to be held in contempt of court. So Maya does it so that you don't have to, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then Phoenix has to do without her for a bit, and he relies a lot on the women who stand beside him in the courtroom.
Yeah, for real.
He really does. He really does. So some of my memorable moments are... Let me switch over to my faves folder where I saved them.
I didn't play the game because I didn't know I'd be doing this, so I don't really have memorable moments, but I can just talk about Ace Attorney for hours.
Yes, indeed. Let me share one or two of mine first. Where is it? So, some optional dialogue. Again, there's a ton of it in this game, and I went and looked up some of my favorite ones because I forgot to get screenshots of them at the time, because that's how I play games. I always forget to get screenshots. So anyway, at one point you're in Nick's office, and if you investigate your own bookshelf, he just says, I'll just read it. Difficult-looking legal books stand in a formidable row. They mock me. I tried reading one, and it made my head hurt. When I closed it, it slipped out of my hand. Then my foot hurt, too. Another cool thing, again, just this game has so much dialogue. If you investigate the security guard in the detention center, it's almost the same line as before. It's, this guard monitors the visitor's room. He hasn't moved an inch since I came in. A real pro. Or maybe he's just nervous with Edgeworth in the room. So it's like, that's a unique line. They didn't have to write that. I'm pretty sure only the part at the end is even different. I just respect them so much. Another cool thing is that all of Edgeworth's all of Edgeworth's lawyers that he reached out to save him turned him down, specifically because he specifically had ruined all of their confidence by defeating all of them in court.
Is it made clear if the lawyers know that Von Karma is going to be prosecuting the case?
I don't think it does, though that would be
also
a reason
be a
why.
reason.
Yeah. No, he
because you don't want to fuck with Von Karma.
He says, it occurred to me that it might be my fault that they lack confidence. After all, I did get every single one of their own clients declared guilty.
Fun fact, originally when they were thinking of doing a sequel to this game, they just sort of assumed Edgeworth would continue being a rival, but then they thought, no, Edgeworth is really popular, and if we just keep having him have his ass kicked, that'll, like, ruin the mystique of him being this super badass. So we can't have Phoenix just continuing to kick his ass. So they made a different prosecutor, who is... The prosecutor in the second game is the best. I love her so much.
Yeah, she's so good. There's a part where if you bring the dog to the samurai dog stand, there's this part where he starts sniffing and sniffing, and everyone's like, "What is it, boy? What is it, boy? Did you find a clue?" And he starts sniffing even more, and they like really ham it up that he's found something really important. And then he just jumps into the hot dog stand and eats all of the hot dogs. And Larry Butts gets really bad. Also, there's like 5 different times in this case when something happens that Phoenix screws up that costs somebody money, and every single time they say, Phoenix, you have to pay for that. And the more it happens, the more he just like cries every single time because he's so broke. And he keeps having to pay for things. But everybody is broke.
Yeah.
Extra little bit. Every time you go to the police station, you can investigate one of the policemen, and they're at the computer. And every single time it's unique. Here's an example of one of them. The policeman is saying, "Resistance is futile. We have you surrounded. It's not too late. Release the hostages and come out with your hands up." And Phoenix says, he must be doing image training for negotiating a hostage situation. every time you come back, he's doing a different kind of training. Like, he's pretending to be a good cop. He's pretending to be a bad cop. He's pretending to be questioning a victim. So, like, this guy's just going through training modules or something on his computer, learning how to be a cop, which I think rules. He has to explain what a DJ is to the judge because he doesn't know because he's an old guy.
One fun thing about this is that the original game was published in 2001, but the game takes place in 2016. The games have always been 15 years in the future, or later there's a time skip, so I guess between games there's a time skip between the third and fourth game, so I guess at that point it's like a 25-year in the future. But so sometimes there'll be things that even though the judge is old, he would know. But I guess if he were old 15 years ago, maybe he wouldn't. And also, in 2016, they're very much using 2001 cell phones, and that never stops being a thing. Even the games released in 2015, they still are using 2001 as cell phones. I love it.
That rules. Here we go. I can't not say these. Lotta Hart is great. Like I said, she's really stupid and she owns it. She keeps saying something like, you think she would say oh, you think all rednecks are dumb. But what she says is, just because I might be dumb doesn't mean we all are. So she's like, you can't stereotype country bumpkins for being stupid. I am stupid, yes, but you shouldn't stereotype us as being stupid. It's extremely good. And then there's one more thing this isn't a real moment, it's actually just very important. Completely optional bit of dialogue. When you visit the police station, you see this weird blue guy, this blue
badger
standee, this blue plastic creature, and you point at it and you're like, what is that? And the chief goes, that's the blue badger. It's our mascot. It was my idea. I made him up. And Phoenix is like, oh, okay. He really thinks it's stupid. And it is stupid. It's bad and it looks weird. So apparently the chief's number one goal in life now is to make the blue badger be the official mascot of the police. And nobody believes in him. They all think it's dumb. And he's like, no, this is going to be the police mascot. I swear to God. And believe it or not, that is important.
Yes.
It's extremely important.
Actually, later on in Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth, there's a case that takes place in a cop-themed amusement park, and a huge thing is that there's all these people in blue badger costumes, and you have to sort everything out there.
The fucking police propaganda, jeez.
It's funny. There are so many things in this game that are so very Japanese that it's hilarious that it takes place in California. I love the weirdness of it having so many Japanese things, but ostensibly taking place in America. Like the police having a mascot. Things like the police don't have mascots in America. Yeah. That's very much a Japanese thing.
Especially not cute kawaii mascots.
Yeah, if the police have a mascot, it's just a dog.
Or
like a regular dog.
Or a turned off body cam.
But also just in the sixth game, there's this whole thing where it takes place at a soba shop and a traditional Japanese theater, and it's we just
that's totally California.
Apparently, I think I read somewhere something like one of the producers of the Western version, she decided there would be this concept where the anti-Asian racism that happened a lot in America was what if there was an alternate history where that wasn't so much a thing, and instead Asian immigrants were more embraced and their cultures intertwined with American culture a lot more, and that's how we ended up with this California.
That's right. I remember reading that too. Yeah, it was an interview. It's so it's kind of like Word of God, sort of Word of God canon.
Yeah.
This is in fact an alternate history universe where California is like the same as Japan culturally.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it kind of rules. It's kind of utopian in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the week. Next week we're just wrapping up this trial, so it's probably not going to be a whole lot, although probably going to be more than you might expect. It's probably going to be a lot, but also probably about the same length as this week, so not a super long episode. And then just to reiterate, after that we're probably spending 2 or maybe even 3 episodes on the final case of the game. Sam sent us an important message, didn't he?
Yes,
Yes.
he did.
What did he say exactly?
He said
he said, "Don't die, Bernard." He said we need to mention our next poll.
Awesome. So yeah, it's time to announce our next poll. If y'all recall, if you're new here, we have people vote on what game we're going to play next. And Eli, what are the 2 games up for grabs this time?
I don't know how to pronounce the first one, but the second one
Ease.
starts. Is it just Ease? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was
It's
Ease or
weird.
Wise.
It's really weird.
And then the second one is Star Tropics.
so. It'll be Ease 1 and 2, which are sort of one game, or Star Tropics 1 and 2, which are, as far as I know, not sort of one game.
Oh,
but,
Star Tropics 1 and 2 as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ease 1 and 2 and Star Tropics 1 and 2 are about the same length combined.
So yeah, you're actually voting on 2 games, and that's because they are short. So you put them together, and it's the same amount as like a regular game.
They're both old-ass action RPGs.
And no, you cannot vote for us to play Ease 1 and then Star Tropics 2, or vice versa. Though that would be kind of hilarious.
And you should really vote for Ease, because I've played Ease 1, and it fucking owns.
Oh yeah, we should give quick pitches for the games like we always do. I haven't played any Ease at all, but Bernard has owned, and my dear friend Harrison, who has very good taste in games, says it's one of his favorite series, and this music is unimaginably good.
Yeah, it's by Falcom, and their whole thing is just every game they make has absurdly good music.
Yep. And the other game is Star Tropics. I have played a good bit of Star Tropics, like maybe, I don't know, a third of the first game, and I thought it was fun. It was a good game. It's cool. It's weird. They're both really old. They're was Ease was originally on like some kind of computer, but it's 80s. It's like 8-bit NES level video game.
Ease was originally released in 1987, but it's had 1,000 remakes and ports.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's modern versions of it that you can like get on Steam.
Yeah. So both of these games are originally from the NES 8-bit era. And Star Tropics definitely feels that way, and East probably does too. And I was gonna say one more thing about. Oh, and they're both action RPGs. That should be noted. That's the theme here, is that they're both action games where you walk around and stab things. Ease is a little bit weird. It's not exactly an action RPG. It's kind of got its own little vibe, but essentially you're walking around and stabbing things. Eli, do you know anything about either of these games?
I knew that Star Tropics existed.
I'm pretty sure Star Tropics is actually a Zelda-like, in which case it's not an RPG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go on.
Yeah, the degree to which it is somewhat kind of an RPG, I don't know, may or may not be the case. We'll find out when we play it. So yeah, please start voting on those. Voting will open probably in just a freaking second. Sam's in charge of that. Do all your votes. If you're listening but are not a supporter, consider being a supporter so that you can make us play one of these 2 games. If you really love one of these games or really hate them and hate us and want us to be unhappy playing a game that sucks, feel free to vote. That's fine. We don't care. We will do that.
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
will cave to your whims.
we will cater to all of your whims. Give us all of your money, and I love Phoenix Wright, but I'm also really excited because for once it's a game I haven't played.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it. Let me wrap us all the way the heck up. So this has been RPG Book Club. If you like what you hear, please check us out on rpgbook.club. There's all these important links I'm supposed to say, and I forget them, but they're all on rpgbook.club, including links to our store, including links to our Ko-Fi, and including links to our Discord and Twitter and email. All those things are a lot of fun, especially the Discord. You should join our Discord and say, what's up to all of us. I think I just blew through all of that. So
Yeah,
as a
you did.
reminder, as a reminder, next week we are just finishing this case, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And even though this is going to air after the holidays, I hope that you had a Merry Christmas / other holidays, and also a Happy New Year, and happy first week of the new decade. Hope it goes good. Hope you get off to a good start. Hope you meet all of your New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
Hell yeah. All right, this
Do
is an
it.
RPG Book Club. I have been Maddie Grace Webben.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Bernard. How can I have so much more to say about Ace Attorney?
Sucks to suck. You could have joined us, but you didn't.
Yup.
Bye, nerds.
Bye. Toodaloo.